Alright fellas, here we're back in Pokemon Masters, and tomorrow we're going to begin the release of Ray and Hisuian Decidueye. Well, technically next day, but whatever, it's fine. So, well, this is the time of recording this, but anyway, so we're going to see should you summon for the sync pair, and I would probably lean towards no for a few reasons, but I do want to clarify, very strong sync pair, got a lot of good uses, and obviously I can see a big reason for potentially summoning for him. It's just I personally would probably recommend straying away from it. Mostly because his big gimmick is a damage dealer, as well as himself being a sprint character and our lack of sprint candies, and all of that, right? I think all these culminate into saying he should probably just, hold off. But, again, he's still a really strong character, so I do want to go into that a little bit more. So let's go into his details. Looking at his stats here at level 140, he has 652 HP, 468 attack, very good, 164 defense, 188 special defense, and 402 speed. Overall, not bad stats, really, especially if you look at the EX here. His attack's nearly at 500. Oh, this guy's insane. This guy's got really good stats. Speed's amazing, attack's amazing, HP's fine, defenses are fine. Probably couldn't ask for many better stat distributions. He's got the fighting, Sinnoh, main character, and Scarf theme skills. And obviously, you can pick up his gear in the skill gear in the events tab in the exchange shop from the new story event. So be sure to pick that up while you can. Obviously, he's not the only one that can benefit from it, as it would be any fighting Sinnoh or main character. So be sure to pick up that gear. It can give you a lot of good boosts. He is a sprint sync pair with the EX role of Strike. I think this is a great combination, honestly. Being a sprint character is amazing for the sync countdown. Sync countdown is absolutely probably one of the best mechanics in this game. And being able to combine that with the Striker for the AoE sync move is very, very good, because sprint is mostly useful, I would say, for the most part in the stadium, where you can get as many sync moves in as possible and KO your enemy. It's good for the gauntlet, sure, but I feel that stadium or like high score event or whatever is definitely where it shines, and so that obviously you're facing multiple enemies, so very, very good for that there, right? So yeah. Anyway, he releases on October 1st and lasts until October 19th, meaning you've got about 18 days to try and pick him up. So if you are going to pick him up, be sure to do it within a timely manner. And we'll look at his moves here. So his moves are pretty insane. That's outside of the move gauge boost. Obviously, the move gauge boost is a normal thing. I don't think there's any use to this besides what he has in his grid, and I really just wouldn't mess with it. But he has his trainer move here, which reduces sync countdown by 1, raises his speed by 6, applies super effective next, and increases his physical moves next by 2. So he's already got speed buffs, he's got super effective next, and he's got physical moves next, pretty much on turn 1, as well as -1 sync countdown. Combine this with his Survey Core teachings passive, which Akari also has, and you get another sync countdown. You buff his attack by 4, and it raises crit by 3 on entry. So if you have the on-entry ability here, and you combine that with the trainer move, you are getting +2 sync countdown, +6 speed, +4 attack, +3 crit, super effective next, and +2 physical moves next. All just in one turn. Give him Head Start 1 as a lucky skill, which I'd say is probably his best lucky skill, and you also get a full rotation of sync countdown, which means you can get your sync move in a whole turn quicker, which obviously is very, very strong, especially for a character like him, to where he's got the sprint roll, and he's also, of course, got the physical strike roll. So very, very good, right? Very, very good combined power here. So very, very fast, very, very strong, right? He's got triple arrows, which is a 4-gauge move, 150 base power. Its crits land more easily, though it doesn't matter because he maxes his crit on entry. It has a 50% chance of lowering enemy defense, and it has a 30% chance to flinch. Very, very good. Hits a single opponent, so you've got yourself that 30% flinch chance just out off the rip. Very nice. And of course, the 50% defense debuff chance is very, very nice as well, so you can get some higher power in just pretty much for free. 150 is a little bit on the lower side, but it's about the same as Akari, so you can't really complain too much. It's still good, right? It's still pretty good. But of course, he's got himself the broken triple arrows barrage buddy move here. 4-gauge move, 250 minimum base power, hits all enemies, and the activation condition is when the user's team uses a sync move 1 time, and the deactivation condition is when the move is used. So it's like Neo Champion Marnie, to where you have to use a sync move, and then this buddy move is active, and once it's used, it is then locked again, and the next time you or an ally syncs, then you get it again. So it doesn't have a limited amount of uses, but of course it is tailored to how many sync moves you can do in a battle. So yeah, obviously though, it's got a great payoff. Those payoffs being the except in certain circumstances, all attacks become crits. Obviously, again, doesn't matter because he does have max crit. It lowers enemy defense by 2, makes the target flinch, makes them flinch, guaranteed, and it hits all enemies. So that's a guaranteed AoE flinch. And again, defense debuffs by 2. The power and chance of applying additional effects of this move are not lowered even if there are multiple targets, meaning you've got yourself a straight up AoE 250 base power move that is not reduced across multiple targets, and it lowers enemy defense by 2, and it makes them flinch. Very strong. Combine that with the next triple arrows attack, and you've got yourself a boosted triple arrows from the defense debuffs, and you've got your chances of debuff and defense with it again and again. Make your target flinch even more, to where you're going to be getting turn denial, meaning you're going to get extra sync countdown. Combine it with the sync countdown he does from his trainer move and his passives, as well as potentially giving him head start 1, as well as having the EX sprint roll. He has a ton of opportunities for sync countdown and turn denial, so you can just get as many sync moves in battle as possible. I think he's definitely a character, other than maybe Archer and Houndoom, he's probably one of the best characters to do a lot of sync countdown shenanigans with. I would definitely recommend it if you do pull him. He's got that very good strength on him alongside the sync stuff. So, like Akari, how she had a lot of good utility with being able to select an ally to give physical moves and special moves next, apply Dark Zone, heal with potions, and apply gauge acceleration. Ray here is great at helping allies because he's got himself the sync countdown, as well as his self-sufficiency and ability to use his damaging moves here and provide good side DPS. Also, on his sync move here with the passive skills, he's got the sync move team free moves next 9, meaning he applies free moves next to all allies after using his sync move, which you'll be getting very quickly from the sync countdown, and you'll be getting sync countdown from the sprint roll, so very worthwhile to use the sync move, and it'll make his next move, obviously being 4 gauge, free, be used for free with no gauges, as well as his allies as well. So he's very good on gauge, and just very good there as well. And it's also got Soften Up 1, meaning he guarantee lands crits on sync moves since he's able to already max his crit. So you don't have to worry about crits or anything like that. You're already doing just fine. Very, very good sync pair overall at 1 out of 5. Very straightforward. Just sync countdown, spam triple arrows. When triple arrows barrage is active, use it, and then just, again, keep spamming triple arrows. And you've got yourself a very, very strong character here, right? Very, very, very good stuff. Very strong stuff as well. So very fast, very strong. That's essentially how he is built. So very good for damage, but the main reason I probably would not recommend going for him is because of, for one, we've got a good amount of fighting sync pairs, especially on type. Bruno is amazing. Marshall can work fine. B is amazing. Even off type B can work just fine. Special costume Keldeo, or Diantha and Keldeo rather. Obviously not free, but of course a good sync pair as well. And honestly, the biggest contender for him is Neo Champion Hop, because they work pretty similar, I would say. They've got good high-powered moves, but Hop is just better because he's able to set Fighting Zone, as well as debuff the stats a little bit more consistently, as well as provide some support, and obviously having a Master Passive. Just a lot of different things that makes Hop better. And they are obviously great partners, so put together, they are very, very strong as a, turn, or rotation, or team, whatever you want to call it. But if it comes down for blows, I would say Hop has so much more value than Ray, just because of what he's able to do in comparison. Like, Ray's got sync countdown and damage, but Hop has, for one, he's got sync countdown here. Not like the same extent as Ray, but still, he does have it. He also's got defense and special defense debuffs, as well as speed debuffs. He's also got higher powered moves here, or about the same powered moves, rather, sorry, but still. Point still stands. He's, again, able to set Fighting Zone, buffs his own speed as well. Like Ray, he's able to buff all allies crit and not just his own. And he's got, of course, free moves next as well. So they work pretty much the same at 1 out of 5, except Hop is also able to apply the Fighting Zone. So there is that. And obviously, the big thing with Ray, even though he does have the sync countdown, and that is obviously very, very nice, he is, for the most part, just another damage dealer. So if you do want to sub him out for any other damage dealer, especially in an off-type scenario, you definitely can do that. There is a lot of different options, even characters, again, that aren't Striker, which Ray isn't anyway. can work just fine. You know, we got Akari, Palmer, who is already a very, very good off-typing sync pair anyway. Let's see, Apollo's pretty good at off-typing, I would say. Obviously, Leaf and Moltres, Red and Articuno, very, very good sync pairs just in general, all still available right now. I would say coming blows for blows, Red's just straight up better than Ray, right? And I would say Leaf, Neo Champion Leaf is too. Or just at least more valuable at the, end of the day, right? Also, do consider we have everything up at the month right now. Akari, I would say Akari may not be stronger than Ray, but does hold more value in her field/zone, as well as her other utility stuff. Though obviously Ray is still, very, very good as well with his utility. But other than that, I would say characters like Neo Champion Red and Neo Champion Leaf, who are up right now, definitely have more value than Ray does, in my opinion. And even looking later in the month, I would say if we go to this triple Pokefair banner for the Unova characters, I would say that banner has more value because of the rerun of Hilda and Hilbert, and too, but I would say he's obviously to a lesser extent. Mostly Hilda and Hilbert. This banner just has so much value. This is probably the most valuable banner of the month, I would say. And definitely Neo Champion, Calum, and Greninja. You do want to be able to have enough gems for them because they are such a strong, well, not strong, but such a diverse support sync pair. They can help so many allies, and they're just so good at their job. They're very, very strong support sync pair. Still one of the top in the game, 100%. So you do want to have enough gems to summon for these other sync pairs, assuming you do want them as well. But of course, if you are not interested in any of the sync pairs previously released, and of course you have enough gems, go ahead, go for Ray. I don't blame anyone for going for their favorite characters. Obviously, I'm going to as well, so do keep that in mind. Just go for your favorites. But in terms of sheer value, I would say that like Neo Champion Red and Leaf definitely provide more value. Palmer, I don't know if he would provide more value, but he definitely has probably a lot more strength. I don't know, I could be wrong. But obviously, when it comes to value as well, these two banners here definitely provide a lot of it, and definitely probably a lot more than Ray does as well. So do keep that in mind. Anyway, let's look at the grid. 1 out of 5 is pretty much nothing. 2 out of 5 does have Natural Remedy, Quick Cure, Haste, I guess. Turn to Move NPR, which is good. Honor Roll 1, Brawling stuff. Super Desperate, which doesn't matter that much, and Catalyst. I would say that's about it, really. Quick Cure and Natural Remedy are obviously very basic stuff, nothing insane, obviously. Turn Move NPR is pretty nice, for sure, especially if you do not want to give him Head Start 1 as a lucky skill, and you want to give him, like, Crit Strike 2 or something. You can go ahead and use the Turn Move NPR, get yourself the extra sync countdown, and you'll still be able to get in a full rotation, or a full turn of sync countdown. So it'll still work out the same, and of course you'll still benefit from getting the +2 physical moves next and whatever else, right? So you can definitely make full use of that. Other than that, he does have Catalyst again, which able to apply gauge acceleration is nice. He does have the free moves next, but of course after that wears off, you do want a form of gauge efficiency, especially because he is a 4-gauge move user. So combine the move gauge acceleration with his good speed stat and the ability that he has to max his speed, and you'll have a lot of gauge, so you'll be fine. Also, I didn't note it, but he does have the innate inertia nuke, so that is very, very nice for sure. Pretty much 200 base power move here. Sadly, it does not get increased with the EX because he is a sprint sync pair, but of course, having a multiplier does help, so that is nice. Honor Roll 1 is great to guarantee the defense debuffs from triple arrows. Obviously, very self-explanatory. Overall, the 2 out of 5 is not really that crazy or great or anything. It's better than Akari's, I would say, but it doesn't really provide anything else that he definitely desires. I'd say the best thing is probably the Honor Roll or the Catalyst, but even those are relatively niche and not super desirable abilities, right? Especially compared to having the fact that you're going to have a lot of characters you want to candy, especially because he is a sprint sync pair, right? You do got to keep that in mind. He does require general candies in order to candy to extra move levels, so you can't really mess with that too much. And we probably aren't going to get a sprint candy for at least another 2 months, so you're going to be stuck with him at 1 move level for a while. 2 out of 5, not worth it. 3 out of 5 is where things obviously start to get really good. He gets Head Start 1, which is nice. Triple Arrows move gauge refresh 9, also very nice because he does want to have that gauge efficiency. even though he does already have it for the most part. So I'm going to say this is not the best ability, but it's still pretty nice, right? Especially in a scenario where you're not going to have the best of team compositions for Gauge. So that's nice. He does have 4 sync nodes, which makes up for the power loss in being a sprint sync pair. He has bronze sync 5 for a 50% multiplier, as well as the innate, and he's got insult to injury as well for a 30% total DPS boost if you do have max defense debuff on the enemy, which is not a hard thing to do, especially if you do pair him with a character like Neo Champion Hop, who is already able to debuff defense very, very well. He's going to be working just fine, and of course, we have a ton of defense debuffers as is. Chorus is a very, very good one that is out right now, or of course, you can go for one of the options like Kukui or Lenora later in the month, both with Leer. Just a lot of different options that we have for defense debuffs, so you can max out insult injury pretty quickly in a battle, even if you're not using his abilities to debuff defense. So keep that in mind. Outside of that, he does have Trainer with Berserker, which is not really all that insane. Having +4 attack compared to +6 attack and not having something like Furious Brawn or Haymaker, it doesn't make a big difference. The difference between +4 and +6 attack is not that big. It only matters whenever you do have something like Haymaker, and that's about it. So this is not really that great of an ability. Move Gauge Boost Catalytic Cure 9, restoring his HP by 20% of its maximum. This is good for self-sufficiency and healing. Mostly going to be using this in a gauntlet scenario. You'll likely never pick this up in a stadium or high score event type of situation. So if you are picking this up, it is mostly for a gauntlet battle, in which case that's fine. You could probably get rid of Head Start 1 for it, and it'll work out for you probably fine, right? Maybe get rid of a sync node or 2, or just whatever, right? Just try and get enough energy. It'll probably take you a couple tries because obviously very, very greedy with the energy, right? So you do gotta keep that in mind. Something like this. This is probably a solid enough grid for trying to pick up the Catalytic Cure there, but obviously for a full nuke setup, this is probably what you're working with, right here, yeah. For full nuke / DPS setup, this is likely what you're working with, so most stadium battles will likely use this, where you've got both, all 4 sync nodes, as well as Bronze Sync 5, plus the Inertia Innate, as well as Insult to Injury here. This is probably what you'll be using. Obviously, you could get rid of like Insult to Injury or something, or just some sync nodes and try and pick up Head Start 1. I can see that, that makes a lot of sense. It obviously does require 14 energy, so you probably would just skip out on stuff like this, I guess. Something like that would be fine. If you do want to pick up Head Start 1 there and maybe have either Adrenaline as a lucky skill or Crit Strike 2 or something else, it's just obviously up to your playstyle and whatnot, right? Overall, I'd say this is probably the best grid for him. You get the full nuke, the full DPS stuff. Very, very nice. Other utility stuff you can sacrifice some of it for. It just depends on your play style and what type of event you're fighting. But for something like the stadium or a high score event, this is probably your best bet. Again, Head Start 1 may be a contender, so you'll have to replace a couple of these nodes for the ability to get that, but that's, again, up to your own discretion. So, anyway, yeah, Ray, very, very nice 3 out of 5 grid here. 2 out of 5 sucks, pretty much, and 1 out of 5 obviously provides about the same as a dirt pile, just about nothing besides something I have to spread out. Anyway, so yeah, Ray, very strong fighting sync pair, very, very nice damage dealer. I would say he's not worthwhile too much for the average player, mostly because we already have some pretty strong fighting options like B and Bruno, especially, again, on type. That's where Bruno shines, but off type, I would say B is definitely one of the better options. Wally, if you do have some of his better partners, is not too bad. And again, Neo Champion Hop is the god of fighting types for the time being. He is definitely a very, very strong fighting sync pair, and if you do have him, you are not going to need Ray, even though Ray, of course, is one of his best partners as well. So if you do want a very strong fighting team composition, they will probably work very, very well together. So you can definitely keep that in mind if you want. But just in terms of sheer value, Ray, mostly being a damage-oriented unit with some sync countdown sprinkled in, is not really too valuable, especially compared to other characters like Neo Champion Red or Leaf, who are currently running, or other banners later in the month, like the triple feature Pokefair Scout for the Unova Villain Arc characters, as well as the Neo Champion Kalem rerun, right? As well as probably Neo Champion Serena later in the month, or not later in the month, next month. well, November, whatever, because it is still technically October for me. Anyway, yeah, or September. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you all later. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you think about Ray and Decidueye, and if you're going to be summoning or not. I'm definitely going to for sure. I mean, it's just kind of a given at this point. I'm a Hisuian, Hisui fan, so I mean, it's going to happen. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you all later. I hope you all enjoyed.